Hello everyone, how are you? Actually, I want to finish the British literature. This is the fourth part. The yesterday's video is going to be the longer, so I thought to bring the fourth part of the British literature because British literature is vast and we all have to cover all the major writers, specifically highlighting all their concept theories that they have given. So, in this video, in this PDF, all the British writers we have included from Chaucer to T.S. Eliot, like from Old English to postmodern age writers, okay, from all the ages, British writers specifically for the exam that they are important, okay. So stay tuned. Let's start the class. Do subscribe the channel, share, and you can join the channel to get the PDF. Rising Professor level only membership you can get. There is no any other. This is the only membership I have for you, so you can join and get the PDF. Okay. Thank you so much for joining. Let's start the class. Here is the email ID. You can. It is mentioned here. You can email to get the PDF. Okay. Let's start the class, everybody. I hope your preparation and revision is going on full swing. Right. Actually, this class from we have started from Old English, discussed and added all the important highlights of all the writers. Okay. So from today, in yesterday's class, we have discussed about Raymond Williams, Roland Barthes, and Jane Austen. Very important for exam, all their works, theories that they have given, concept that are important for the exam. So I hope you have watched. If not, go to the bio and playlist is created. You can watch. Okay, British literature. So today we are going to discuss from the writer. We have one second. Jane Austen, we have started in yesterday's class, and today, after covering 3 to 4 writers, today we have to start from Roland Barthes we have done. Today we will start from T.S. Eliot, okay? T.S. Eliot, what do you know about him? How important he is for the exam and for English literature? Not only the critics, not only the poet, not only the dramatist, but as a cultural theorist, we studied T.S. Eliot, okay? And very important for the exam. So stay tuned with the class. T.S. Eliot, 1888, he was born as a poet, was a dramatist, critic, and cultural theorist, and one of the most influential figures of high modernism. He was settled in England and is known as Anglo American, okay? T.S. Eliot, Anglo American. Why? Because he settled in England, he took the citizenship. And majorly, he was an essayist, but he's also a great critic. And as a critic, we study a lot of the important concepts and theories given by T.S. Eliot in English literature. So his works define concepts of majorly that he has talked about impersonality, tradition and the individual talent, fragmentation, mythic method, spiritual barrenness, and classicism over romanticism. He has shared his point of view about different writers throughout the ages. He has shared his point of view. He given his opinion about their work, their perception about the work, their writing style, their technique. He has criticized. Okay. And to criticize, he has written a lot of works and shared his opinion. So we will see everything. Now, the major works divided in poems, drama, and if he has written given theories. So major poems we have the very important the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock in poetry class you will find in detail. So you can watch. Everything is mentioned. The important line, quotation, highlight of all this. work. The Wasteland 1922, which is divided into five sections, with this thing you will find in the all the poetry class. PDF is PDF and playlist is created. You can watch to get the detailed knowledge. Okay. The Hollow Man 1925, Ash Wednesday 1930, and Four Quartets 1943. These are the major poems by T.S. Eliot. Now, major drama by him. Murder in the Cathedral 1935, very, very important work. And this is very important work. The Cocktail Party 1949. Okay. Now, major critical essays. Now, these essays are extremely important for exam, and in these essays, how and which type of concept and theories he has given, we will study. So, Tradition and the Individual Talent work 1919, Hamlet and His Problems 1919, The Metaphysical Poets 1921, The Function of Criticism 1923, and Notes Towards the Definition of Culture 1948. Okay, so these are the major critical essays. He was not only a poet, dramatist, but he was a great critic. Remember, T.S. Eliot, we studied him as a great critic. The themes that he majorly explored in his work: disillusionment, spiritual emptiness, time, modern life, and he was the key modernist figure, winner of the Nobel Prize in Literature 1948. Okay, now let's discuss few of the important works. It's like a revision because these are the works I have already discussed in the poetry class. So, Westland 1922, it is a fragmented, allusion heavy modernist poem that depicts the spiritual emptiness. And in this work, you will find the theme fragmentation. Fragmentation that shows modernness, modern world's emptiness. Okay, this work is divided into five sections. How many? Five sections. Okay, five sections, and here are those sections: the burial of the dead, the game of a game of chess, the fire sermon, death by water, and what the thunder said. Okay, these are the five sections of the wasteland. Here the voices and characters in 1922 Wasteland, you will find Tiresias. Tiresias is the blind seer, merges male and female's voice. Madame Sosotris, this is already appeared in the exam, who is a tarot card reader. The Fisher King is a symbol of a dying world. Okay, the Fisher King is a symbol of dying world. Now, this work is a countless fragmented voice included from myth, religion, and till modern life. Another important work that you can get in detail is the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock. You have to remember the original title that I have mentioned in the poetry class, and who suggested the title, editor. You can remember everything. The love song of J. Alfred Prufrock is a modernist dramatic monologue written by T.S. Eliot, and first this work was published in 1915. Okay, this poem captures the inner turmoil of its speaker, that is the narrator, J. Alfred Prufrock. He is an introspective. The character role that he plays is an introspective. J. Alfred Prufrock is a self conscious, middle aged man grappling with insecurity, indecision, and the fear of judgment in a modern, fragmented world. Now, this line is very important: fear of judgment in a modern fragmented world. Who the character? J. Alfred Prufrock by T.S. Eliot, published in 1915. Okay, it is a dramatic monologue. This work is written in the dramatic monologue form, in which you will find stream of consciousness, fragmentation, and free verse. And the major quotations of these works is very important. So here I have brought: "Let us go, you and I, when the evening is spread out against the sky like a patient atheist upon a table." Okay, this is the opening line, a stark image setting the tone of paralysis and de- disconnection. In the room, the women come and go, Talking of Michel Anglo, this is also very important. This is the repeated line showing superficial social conversation and Prufrock's alienation. Okay. Another important line, there will be time to prepare a face to meet the faces that you meet. This line reflects Prufrock's fear of being judged and his use of emotional masks. Now, next, do I dare disturb the universe? This is very important. The first, second, and third, fourth. His deep anxiety, this line shows his deep anxiety about making even a small personal decision. Next, I have measured out my life with coffee spoons. This is again very important. A powerful metaphor for a dull, routine, and insignificant life by the character that highlights. Another, I am not Prince Hamlet, nor was meant to be. These all the important quotations by this character, this work you will find is very important. This line, I'm not Prince Hamlet, shows his self doubt and awareness of his own limitations. Like he has been compared with Prince Hamlet, how he lives his life in doubt and unawareness that whether he should kill Claudius or not. So that is why this Alfred Prufrock is compared with Prince Hamlet. Now, next, I have heard the mermaid singing each to each. I do not think that they will sing to me. Now, this line symbolizes unattainable beauty, love, and dreams. I hope you got this point. These are the major quotations by the work J. Alfred Prufrock. Okay. Now, let's explore the literary and critical terms by T.S. Eliot, which is very important. If I have missed, I'm sorry. You can inform. In Hamlet and His Problems, the work published in 1919, in this work, he gave the concept of objective correlative. Remember, objective correlative. It's important. Objective correlative. This work is express the emotion through external symbolic means, that is object. He said that object is the way that a character use to show his emotion, and that way by using the object, a set of chain or set of event, by using this the audience feel more connected with the character's emotion. So objective correlative term he gave in Hamlet and His Problems 1919. According to T.S. Eliot, the only way of expressing emotion in the form of art is by finding an objective correlative. Okay, and that is why he criticized Hamlet as an artistic failure. Okay, that is why, because according to him, Hamlet failed to describe, to depict his emotion in front of the audience. And when T.S. Eliot studied this work, he mentioned that it is an artistic failure because it lacks the objective correlation. Okay, and on the other hand, he also praised the work Macbeth, which is also by Shakespeare, by saying this that uh, in terms of objective correlative, the chain of set or event that depicts Lady Macbeth's emotion is somehow was a great success. Like the audience feel connected. Okay. Now, tradition and the individual talent in this work, which type of concept he has given, which is also in 1919. Here he said that poetry is shaped by and contributes to literary tradition. And the famous idea from this essay we can find, the poet must surrender himself to tradition. The poet's personality is not important. Poetry is not a turning loose of emotion, but an escape from emotion. Okay, so this is what tradition and the individual talent by T.S. Eliot. And here you will find the theory of impersonality in this work. Theory of impersonality, it means poetry arises from the interaction between tradition and the language, not the poet's personality. When a poet interacts with tradition and language, a great poetry emerges, but not what a poet hold his personality. That is not what a work should be reflected by. So here he mentioned the poet functions like a chemical catalyst. He also talked about it and compared chemical catalyst poet essential, but it is unchanged. Poetry is not self-expression but universal truth. You can find here impersonality, according to him, is poetry is not an expression but the poet's personality, but a transformation of emotions into art. And how he compared poet catalyst, it means catalyst that is actually essential in producing poetry yet absent from the poem's final emotional product. So here T.S. Eliot compares the poet of a chemical catalyst. Specifically, he used platinum in a chemical reaction, that how it actually reacts and produce. Here the example I have added to make you understand. In chemistry, when oxygen and sulfur dioxide pass over a platinum catalyst, so they form a sulfurous acid. So and platinum remains unchanged. So this is what and how he gave the example. Okay, you can study. The poets that you most remember, that the poet's mind is a receptacle of numerous feelings, phrases, and image as per the T.S. Eliot. Poet is catalyst active in the creation of poetry but not present in the final product. Poetry is not the release of emotion but an escape from emotion. Okay, so this is what he mean. Another important, the metaphysical poets 1921, this essay. 1921, The Metaphysical Poet. It was an essay published in the Times Literary Supplement on October 20, 1921. Okay, Times Literary Supplement. And in this work, you will find dissociation of sensibility. After the 17th century, poetry separated thought from feeling. Metaphysical poets combined intellectual and emotional experience by using the conceit by John Donne, and later poets couldn't. So, Cavalier poets and metaphysical poets, the literary movement, which is very important. I'm going to bring the class because one of the students asked for the PDF. So, it is already prepared. So, as per T.S. Eliot, he said that modern poetry lost unity of thought and feeling, okay, and also dissociation of sensibility. He also talked about unification of sensibility. If you are separating, you will somehow also getting unite. So, he praised Donne's fusion for intellect and emotion, okay. In the Wasteland, he also talked about the mythical method. In the Wasteland 1922, the mythical method is a critical concept associated with the poem's use of a continuous parallel between contemporaneity and antiquity. So he uses mythical method which was borrowed from Joyce. Okay. And Eliot here uses myth, Grey legend, Fisher King, and Upanishad to impose order on modern chaos or modern chaotic world. So in Wasteland, what we find how modern age became barren and how people roam around. What is the situation? Everything how changes. He has talked about by using the themes of fragmentation, alienation. Okay. In the Wasteland, he also talked about the uses of illusion. That is a hallmark of Eliot's poetic style across these and other works. Okay, so uses of illusion in the Wasteland and the Four Quartets poetry. In Four Quartets, he also talked about the time and consciousness. All these important the terms and concepts related with T.S. Eliot and his work. So you cannot miss. These poems are the Four Quartets 1935 to 1942 are a series of meditations on the nature of time and its relation to eternity and the human condition, published individually from 1936 to 1942. Okay. Time and consciousness, Eliot explores time as a cyclical, blending Christian mysticism and philosophical meditation. Okay. So he has explored memory, time, and eternity that become one. This is what time and consciousness. Okay. Now, important critics on Eliot, what they have said. Clint Brooks. Clint Brooks, very important, new literary critic, new critical reading of the wasteland he studied. F.R. Lewis praised Eliot's moral intelligence. Hugh Kenner, modernist critic, talked about the invisible poet. Lyndall Gordon was a major biographer. Raymond Williams critiqued Eliot's culture, elitist culture. Okay. Now, for the exam perspective, the four quatrains central to Eliot's philosophy. How? Because it synthesizes Christian theology, time philosophy, and poetic symbolism into mature spiritual vision. Eliot's cultural position, so it is a Christian classicist who favored hierarchy, order, and tradition. That is actually opposed to liberal individualism. So these are the points created with a very easy language. You will all be able to easily get understand easily. Okay. Now other notable writers, let's discuss after T.S. Eliot. It is Sir Thomas More. Thomas More, the father of utopianism, utopia critics, Renaissance politics. He combined classical learning with Christian ethics. Utopia 1516 is a very important work. Coined the word utopia, imagines an ideal commonwealth, ideal society. Okay. Early master of humanist dialogue and political satire. Founder of utopian literature, bridges medieval scholasticism with Renaissance humanism. Okay. So utopianism, utopian society, Utopia were 1516, and father of utopianism is none other than Sir Thomas More. Remember. And the important works by him: History of King Richard III, 1513, Utopia 1516, and Dialogue of Comfort Against Tribulation 1534. Okay. Now, Edward Spencer. In poetry class, you will find the detail. Okay. Edward Spencer. Spencer is known as the poet's poet. Who addressed him as poet's poet? It is a Charles Lamb. Okay. Charles Lamb. So, he created a Spencerian stanza A B A B B C B C C plus, including Alexandrine, which is also known as a Spencerian stanza, allegorical epic virtue, Protestant nationalism, Elizabeth I as Gloriana, which work the Fairy Queen. Okay, the Fairy Queen. The Fairy Queen, which is a massive allegorical epic celebrating virtue, and Elizabeth I. So Elizabeth I, this question is already appeared. What is the name of the Elizabeth I in the work The Fairy Queen by Spencer? So it is Gloriana, mentioned here. It is Gloriana. He also known as the poet's poet. Who said this? It's Charles Lamb. Charles Lamb said poet's poet. He was one of the greatest Elizabeth poets, known for his highly musical, ornate style. He writes in archaic diction. Which diction? Archaic diction. Okay. His works include The Fairy Queen 1590 to 1596, Amreti, Epithalamion, Prothalamion. He known for his Spencerian stanza and allegorical epic form, and known as a poet's poet. Okay, remember. Another important writer, Christopher Marlowe. Christopher Marlowe, mighty blank verse. He is known as the tragic overreacher archetype. First great tragedian of English Renaissance. Before Shakespeare, it was Christopher Marlowe, who popularized blank verse in drama, which is also known as Marlowe's mighty line. Overreaching Renaissance hero like Marlowean overreacher. Okay, like we have the character in we find in the Jew of Malta, Dr. Foster Tamburlaine. He was known as the father of English tragedy and drama, the most important dramatist before Shakespeare. Okay, before Shakespeare, he prepared the stage for Shakespearean greatness. He created mythic tragic figures like Faustus, Tamburlaine, and Barabbas. Okay, very important. And the works. Dr. Faustus 1592, Tambelin the Great 1587 to 1588, the Jew of Malta 1590. He helped the use of blank verse in drama, and he is the father of English drama known as before Shakespeare. Now Ben Jonson. Ben Jonson, master of comedy of humors, he advocates classical unities and neoclassicism. Classical unities TPA, that is time, place, action, first to publish works like a classical author in 1616. His court masks with Inigo Jones is very important. You cannot forget. He championed classical units, which is time, place, and action. Classical trained dramatist, he was the rival to Shakespeare, leading restoration literary figure with a tribe of Ben. Okay, tribe of followers. Tribe of Ben followers is Ben Jonson. The important work Volpone the Fox 1606, The Alchemist 1610, Bartholomew Fair 1614. Okay, he championed comedy of humors and neoclassical unity in a drama. Another important writer, John Milton. John Milton, who was the greatest English epic poet after Chaucer and Shakespeare. Greatest English epic poet after Chaucer and Shakespeare from Elizabethan age and medieval age. He mastered blank verse in epic form. His work Areopagitica was the foundational text on which is based on freedom of speech and press, and also it is controversial. Themes he explored: disobedience, free will, biblical cosmology. Paradise Lost, Paradise series is very important work by him, which is written in blank verse, and this work is here it is written national epic in blank verse. Okay, republican theologian, and he was a political thinker. He combined classical epic form with the puritan ideology. Okay, puritan age he belongs to, and then later on he was the master of English epic, a giant of 17th century literature and political prose. The works you can remember: Paradise Lost 1667, Paradise Regained 1671, Aeropagitica 1644, and so on. Okay. Jonathan Swift, Jonathan Swift, master of satire, Horatian plus Juvenalian, Irish satirist, polemicist, and Anglican cleric. He was a brilliant master of irony. He critiques colonialism, human pride, and Enlightenment rationality. He was the founder of political allegory in English prose. His work Gulliver's Travel is very important. They ask that Gulliver in which remote islands he traveled. So all the remote islands you must remember, and they can also ask you the first one where he reached first, then the last one. Satire of politics, science, and human nature. And what is the profession of Gulliver in this work? So it is a physician. Remember, okay? So that is why it is related with science. Because of his passion for travel, he started his journey. A modest proposal is work is very important. It is which is an ultimate political satire. He was the founder of modern satire and unmatched for deadpan irony. Okay. Works you can remember: Gulliver's Travels, 4th section, 1726, A Modest Proposal, 1729, The Battle of the Book, 1704, and he was a pioneer of satire and political allegory. Alexander Pope, if you want to watch in more detail, then you must watch the poetry class. Okay. So Alexander Pope was the master of heroic couplets, foremost poet of the Augustan age. Neoclassical values: he worked on balance, order, decorum, and wit. He developed mock epic style that we can find in the work Rape of the Lock 1712. Okay, remember all the characters. Essay on Criticism is very popular work in which he discussed about the classical rules of writing, and he criticized many writers. The writers, not writers, but we can say the way the writer uses that means the style of writing. Okay, the style of writing he criticizes. Essay on Man, it is a philosophical poem on human nature, and he also standardized poetic diction. Definitive voice of English neoclassicism. Okay, Alexander Pope. The work you can simply remember: The Rape of the Lock, 1712, Essay on Criticism, 1711, Essay on Man, 1733 to 1734. Samuel Johnson, we have Samuel Johnson, first English lexicographer, father of biographical criticism. He codified English vocabulary, was the first authoritative dictionary. Lexicographer who compiles dictionary. He developed English biographical criticism. He was the central figure of Age of Johnson. Okay. He was the founder of English moral essay tradition, central figure of the Enlightenment and London literary life. He wrote the work Lives of the Poets, in which he has talked about the 52 poets, which was an early literary criticism and biography. His criticism shaped a literary taste for a century. Okay. These are the very important highlights of all these writers. A Dictionary of the English Language work 1755, The Lives of the Poets 1779 to 1781, including 52 poets, Rassel's 1759. Okay. Another important writer, Lawrence Sterne. Lawrence Sterne, who is an experimental narrative, digression, typographical play, and anti-plot. The work that is based on experimental narrative. Who? Lawrence Sterne. Playful, he is playful experimental novelist of the 18th century. He was known for digression with self-reflexive narrative. Okay, we can find this theme in his work. The way he narrates early stream of consciousness technique he used, pioneer of metafiction. Tristram Shandy, the work is very, very important by Lawrence Stone, which shows the radically modern proto stream of consciousness. Okay, and a sentimental journey, the work that highlights the sentimental fiction. Okay, sentimental fiction pioneer Lawrence Stern. The work you can remember: The Life and Opinions of Tristram Shandy, 1759 to 1767, A Sentimental Journey, 1768. Sermons of Mr. Uric, 1760. Okay. Experimental Stream of Consciousness predecessor, it is mentioned here. Horace Walpole. Horace Walpole, 1717. He was an aristocrat, antiquarian, and early Gothic novelist. He revived a medieval taste and architecture, that is Strawberry Hill. Horace Walpole. The Castle of Otranto is a very important work, which is also the first Gothic novel. He blended supernatural, medievalism, and romance. He was known as father of Gothic fiction, that influencing Mary Shelley, Radcliffe, and Bram Stoker. His major works: The Castle of Otranto, 1764, Hieroglyphic Tale, 1785, The Mysterious Mother, 1768. Okay. So these are the important highlights of all these writers. Everything is mentioned here. Still, if anything I have left, you can comment. I will include in this PDF and then you can get. So how do you like the class? This is going to be the final. In this class, we have talked and discussed about the 24 important, or you can say the major writers of British literature. Okay, that they have significantly played an important role in British literature. So all these writers, apart from them, we have many minor writers also. So I will in one class I am thinking to bring all the writers in chronology of all the ages. In that video, you will have the only writers and their birth year. Okay. Since you don't comment or suggest and don't even tell me that which content you want next, so this is what I bring as per my opinion, my thinking, and when I get time. So, how do you like the class British literature? Everybody, the final part I have going to upload. Stay tuned with the channel, and if you want the PDF, all the writers is mentioned here with the highlight their critical works, concept, literary theories. Okay, you can revise for the last moment. Thank you so much for joining. Do subscribe the channel, share to your friends. Take care of yourself, which is very important. And bye bye.